Neurons, welcome back. Today we're talking nutritional ketosis and a well-formulated ketogenic diet. Stay tuned. Hey guys, keep watching until the end of the video. I'll go ahead and provide you some proof that a well-formulated ketogenic diet can work for you. Today we're talking ketones, ketoacidosis, how-tos, plateaus and coming out of ketosis, basic ketogenic templates, macronutrients, minerals, medications, treatments, things such as keto flu, protein, intermittent fasting and hunger, exercise, the FDA, and emotional eating. So let's talk about the well-formulated ketogenic diet. You need a detailed script of micronutrients and minerals. Depending on the individual, it could be a complex ratio of these macronutrients, micronutrients, and minerals. Also take into consideration any medical conditions that you might have. I highly recommend you work with a specialized physician. Ketones. Ketones are energy from fat. It could be body fat, it could be digested fat, it could be dietary fat, in other words. Ketones are water-soluble particles, so ketones are easy to transport and digest into the cells. Because of this, it's a much more efficient fuel for the brain, blood vessels, heart, and muscles. In the 1960s, studies were done where doctors and researchers took some patients. These patients were fasting for weeks, creating high ketone levels in their bloodstream. Then they were infused with insulin, driving blood sugars to an extremely low level. This can cause patients to pass out or even possibly die. As long as the ketones remain in the blood, patients were able to function as normal with no issue at all. A normal level of ketone adaptation would be anywhere from 0.5 to 3. Ketoacidosis would be an extreme number of 20. So recent studies have found that ketones produce a very potent signal to genes,
protective genes,
which fight against oxidative stress and free radicals. These cause chronic disease at a molecular level. So how do we get into nutritional ketosis? You definitely want to have protein as number one for any diet. Protein must be included, and it could be plant protein. But as far as a ketogenic diet, most of your daily energy intake would be from fats. Less than 10% of your daily energy intake should come from carbs. Generally speaking, maybe 20 to 50 grams of carbs per day. One of the main reasons why you want to keep protein at a moderate degree is it does stimulate insulin, and that's why it's not a majority protein diet. You just need enough protein to maintain healthy organs and to keep from losing muscle. Basically, too much protein can turn into sugar. By nature, a well-formulated ketogenic diet, if done correctly, is not calorie restrictive. Done right, you would use fat to keep you full. You would use fat to eat till satiety. You also want to incorporate into the diet 3 to 4 servings of non-starchy vegetables. This way you have some fiber in your diet, which also helps with satiety. And with this, you will include micronutrients and necessary minerals as well. So again, this is not a one-size-fits-all diet. There's important ratios of macronutrients and micronutrients needed depending on your bio-individuality. That's why it's important to speak with a specialized physician, especially one that has worked with the ketogenic diet. Everyone has their own micronutrients and macronutrient needs. One must understand serving size proportions according to one's size, weight, gender, and any mineral and macronutrient deficiencies. So again, too many carbs, too much protein can kick you out of ketosis. So here's a rough template for you for a well-formulated ketogenic diet. Most of your carbs should be from grains or vegetables. That's going to be about 5 to 10% of your daily energy intake. Protein should stay about 20 to 30%, and fats is going to be about 70% of your daily energy intake. Again, that's just a basic template for a well-formulated ketogenic diet or nutritional ketosis. But again, you want to keep in mind different ratios for different people or bio-individuality. But when you're in an adaptive state of ketosis, this diet can be done for years and decades. How can you test for your ketone levels? Ketone meters can be very accurate. These can be found at any Walmart or definitely Amazon. I'll provide a link for that below. Just like any other diet, you definitely want to let your primary care physician know what you're doing. If you're looking into a ketogenic diet or nutritional ketosis, and you have type 1 diabetes, a specialized physician is needed and you should be closely supervised. For type 2 diabetes, at the very least, you do want to let your primary care physician know exactly what you're doing and what type of diet you're implementing, especially if you're on medications. On this diet, any health risk will drop quickly and significantly. Imagine if you're still on your medications when all your levels are becoming optimal. Then there could be some included health risk that way. That's why it's recommended that you use a doctor or that you are monitored by your primary care physician. Getting adequate minerals is a must. It's required for circulation, to support muscle function, and support heart health. Minerals needed. I think most important would be sodium chloride, which I've mentioned some of the benefits in my other videos. In a ketogenic diet, your liver becomes very efficient in getting rid of the salt in your body. When too much of this happens, you have symptoms. These symptoms cause the keto flu.
So what is keto flu?
Symptoms including dizziness, fatigue, constipation, and more. That's why it's very important to get your minerals in to keep this from happening. You want to get these minerals from vegetables and leafy greens. Another mineral would be magnesium. If you're constantly getting cramps, most likely the cause is mineral deficiencies. Another very important mineral would be calcium for bone and muscle function. Unfortunately, most fruit has too many sugars and too many carbohydrates in them. This will kick you out of ketosis. The fruits can be replaced by more vegetables. And don't worry, in a well-formulated ketogenic diet, the micronutrients and minerals in vegetables are more than sufficient. So in nutritional ketosis, with a good balance of macronutrients and micronutrients, you will get into a healthy, normal state of organ function and metabolism. In this state, you're in a very effective balance to reverse disease. Also in this state, you will no longer need medications. But if you continue medication use, you can imagine how dangerous that can be. In a ketogenic state, blood levels become optimal. For years now, a ketogenic diet has been used to cure heart disease, many forms of cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, inflammatory diseases, or metabolic syndrome, aka fatty livers. Once you're in a ketone-adapted state, the primary ketone is called
beta-hydroxybutyrate.
The ketone beta-hydroxybutyrate gives a very potent signal which inhibits inflammatory gene expression. Nutritional ketosis can be done as a vegan, although it can be a little bit more difficult. You can still get fats and proteins from plants. These are some of the wrong fats to intake while on the ketogenic diet. Omega-6 fats, polyunsaturated oils and fats, such as margarine, also corn oil, vegetable oil, and soybean oil. Good or best sources of fats include monounsaturated fats such as butter, sour cream, cream cheese, heavy cream, saturated fats, especially from grass-fed beef, olive oil. So how much salt should you take in on a ketogenic diet? Generally speaking, about 2.5 level teaspoons of salt per day. What we're really looking for is the sodium chloride within the salt. Now, the weight of salt itself is only about 40% sodium chloride. Another way to look at it is about 12 grams of salt per day. Remember, only 40% of that would be sodium chloride. So remember, if you start to feel those symptoms we mentioned earlier about the keto flu, you can use broth or bouillon as a good source of salt or sodium chloride. As far as intermittent fasting is concerned, you really don't need that on a well-formulated ketogenic diet because remember, you want to eat till satiety. And what's the best way to get satiety? It's using fats. So if you're on a ketogenic diet, there's no need to go hungry. You shouldn't have to be hungry at all. And don't forget, most studies show that after about a day and a half of fasting, you do start to lose muscle. And again, that's where the protein comes in. Nutritional ketosis has been used since the 1930s and 40s. But if you can remember, Dr. Atkins brought it to mainstream with the Atkins diet. So let's recap a little bit here. As far as a well-formulated ketogenic diet or nutritional ketosis, you get to eat real foods. One of the first things you want to acknowledge about the diet would be protein, because protein is the number one staple for any diet, but it's going to be in a moderate calorie intake, fats being the primary source of energy. The most important thing in a ketogenic diet would be keeping the carbs low, 20 to 50 grams per day. A well-formulated ketogenic diet is not fasting. If you're in a plateau, you may want to limit your fats for the calorie intake. You also want to take into consideration the type of fats that we were talking about earlier. Some more key facts to remember. A common misconception about the ketogenic diet is having to only buy expensive foods, and that is not the case. You can use artificial sweeteners to a moderate degree. Another cool and fun fact would be that you don't have to exercise on a ketogenic diet to reap the benefits of your blood levels and your body composition. Hey guys, if you're thinking about surgery due to an unhealthy weight level, do some research into this diet. It can save you a ton of money and, more importantly, your health. Because of the work of Dr. Eric Westman and others, nutritional ketosis is now an FDA-approved way to combat disease. Because the body of evidence provided by studies of nutritional ketosis has now surpassed the requirement for approval. Now, this is very important as well,
Emotional eating.
which in my opinion really helps sabotage most diets. So by nature, when stress is present, we naturally want to go for the feel-good hormones. We want to tap into our brain's reward systems. Think cookies, cakes, ice cream, peanut butter, chocolate. So you want to keep stress at bay. Real quick, the best way to do that is get good quality sleep, which I talked about in one of my other videos. Kudos to Dr. Stephen Phinney and Dr. Eric Westman. I myself have been using the ketogenic diet maybe 10 to 12 years, even before it was a fad, before anyone else knew about it. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and provide you some proof on that. Hey guys, thanks for joining me. I'm Wilder One at Body Mind Connection. Stay tuned for my next video and see you guys soon. Be well.